I'm sorry.
Talk.
We're sitting here talking to Tim Buckley and his part of his backup group, Buddy, and Richard's here, and I'm here, I'm Dick. And Tim's going to be out in Placitas this weekend, playing Thursday through Sunday. I don't know how much it costs, but I bet you'll find out when you get to the door.
$3, and don't get wise. $3, and $3.50 on the weekend.
And $3.50 on the
2
weekend.
shows a night, you get the whole thing. Package deal.
Package deal.
Hermetically sealed.
I hope not. It's hot in there already.
And your
Yeah,
band
we
is
know
how
it's
big
going to be
now?
hot. Yeah.
Your band with you now
Yeah.
is how many pieces?
5 of us. Piano, bass, guitar, drums.
Right.
Are you doing mostly the stuff off of the Greetings from L.A.?
No, we do
Or old
pretty
things
much
and
a lot of all the things.
everything?
Yeah.
I remember the last time I saw you was in Baltimore, Maryland,
At a college.
at Baltimore County College or
Right.
Community College,
Right.
Baltimore. And you played with a jazz group, 3 guys that it seemed like you probably met them that night,
Mm-hmm.
and you were making up songs.
You look like a very intelligent surfer.
Body surfer only.
Uh,
Never been on a board yet. My
Mhm.
balance isn't good enough.
mm-hmm. Well, the untrained ear to music always says that about jazz. You know?
No,
You know,
because you
seems
were
like
making
you met him.
you were making up lyrics, you know.
Did you?
And it was really fun. That was what I was going to say.
Okay. What else?
Round 2.
Round 2?
Oh, come on.
You
You're
have
on
a
tour with
cynical.
Fair.
You have a cynical edge.
No, I'm not being cynical. I was just saying that's the last time that I saw Tim Buckley.
That was a pretty good
perform.
concert,
It
actually.
was fun. It was really fun because you sat down and kind of messed around with some really funny lyrics. I remembered,
Mm-hmm.
and everybody was getting. I mean, it was pretty. It was far out. It was like a small nightclub thing with only it had 1,500 people or 2,000 people in the gymnasium there.
It can work with a lot of people.
Yeah, it did. That was it. I mean, have you done that?
Oh,
A lot,
we've played
or you-
to more than 2,000 people.
No, that wasn't exactly what I meant. But what I meant was.
Okay, let's start over. Yeah, it can work in a big room. You know, it just depends on how much humanity you have to offer. If you're a showcase group and you just put out, you know, a stock
Yeah, that's what I
type of
mean.
music, it's going to look like that no matter where you play it. But if you play the moment, if you play for the people, if you play what they want to hear at the moment they want to hear it, then it's going to come off with a looseness and a humanity to it. It's going to work anywhere. I don't care where it is. You know.
So your show now, the show that you'll be doing in Placitas, for instance, it won't be the same show every night, for instance.
No, why should it be?
That's what I'm trying to get
I
at.
can't, you know.
I mean, that's pretty much what you're used to doing with most of the, quote, people that have recorded or big acts or whatever that come into towns. They
Well,
come
it
in and
makes-
they've got a hour and a half set, and then they take their half an hour break, and then they do their hour and a half set or hour set or whatever
Yeah.
it is.
Well, that's because they've learned so many songs and they're very young and they haven't played much. And they've learned an hour and a half of material and that's it. You know. And they play it over again and how you doing, glad hand, and see ya.
But you like to mess around with your audience more, it seems.
I
At
like
least
to
from that
play-
experience I had back then in Baltimore.
Yeah, I like to play music. And I'm capable of playing music, and so I do. You know, on an extended basis. I don't.
I mean, you don't. In other words, you don't come out there and you have 10 songs that you're going to play. You come out there and you play. Maybe you know what your first song's going to be, and then your second.
Yeah,
one
when I
you
get
might-
stuck for something, I just ask the audience what they want to hear, and they'll say "Louie Louie," so we'll play it. You know.
That's easy to make up lyrics for too.
I helped record that.
Really, with the Kingsmen?
Yeah.
No kidding. What did you do for that? What?
Bought Seconal. Was basically what they did.
You were
And
the
did
one
the
that
song.
went down to the drugstore and got the
There
second
was
one.
no. We had Manuel, the guy who stole transmissions, and bought Seconal, and kept the guys supplied with guitar strings and new lyrics for the song because it was pretty loose.
Yeah, well,
It varied from high school to high school.
That's true. I
Yeah.
remember I was in a band.
It was a
and,
territorial tune that broke on.
And did you go from there to start writing your own? And
From El
Doing
Monte
your own
Legion Stadium
songs.
and deep into folk music
Right.
as we know it today.
Right. And you started with folk music and went through a lot of changes before you ended up with your most recent album, which is All We Know You By.
Yeah, that's why it's hard to talk about the past, isn't it?
Right.
You don't know me.
Well, it seems the old
Well,
Tim
tell
Buckley
us.
is a lot different stuff than the last album. This is a lot
It was
more
a lot.
rocka going on.
Well, the '60s were a lot different. There was a lot more chance for music. You people were on better
Exactly.
drugs or something, I guess. You know,
What-
and your
what does that
ears
mean?
were more open. You know, you had cleaner acid, I guess. I don't know what it was. Now it's Quaaludes, sawdust, and beer. You know.
Well, now it's all this
Hi,
super
hit me, sock it
sensational.
towards me, roll me in the dirt. You know, make me human. It's depressing in a lot of ways. Stepping over bodies to the stage. You know, it's weird, especially in your town, Milwaukee. You know, the inner city. What I'm trying to say is dying,
Yeah.
and it's moving to like places like this.
Here we are.
Yeah.
So
At the
you-
college.
So your music is heavier because your audience isn't as open-minded.
Well, we just had a lull. I mean, everything's kind of boring. You know, we're in limbo now. You know, we're ruining a whole political system, and that takes time. You know, and baseball is. I mean, that's boring, and when that gets popular, you know something is wrong
Baseball's always
in the
been
taste.
popular.
You know.
But all the new groups are very sensational now. Like, they may not be very good on an album, but in person, with flaming rockets and all this
Sure.
super stuff.
Sure. I call them portable closet fags,
Yeah.
where they can go anywhere and do it, you know. They're all married and they're not really gay. But they're writing that little thing. Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah.
What do you think of like gay rock and roll?
I don't think it's gay.
You don't think it's gay?
No, I think Lou Reed's the closest.
What about David Bowie? Have you seen him?
It's just, you know, cocktail music.
It's just all for rolling in it for the money.
Well, you know, I know they're sincere. It just isn't saying anything for the gay people. You know, which is a very valid and hard thing to live. Don't take my word for it.
Well, we got it down.
But there's
on
a lot
tape,
of them on
so,
my block, and I wish I
we'll
could-
erase it and send it to you.
No. No, I mean, you know, it's hard to come out with something that personal. That's a whole society of people, and then program it commercially for people who buy Campbell's soup. You know, and say this is what gay is. You know, and only project the Queen part.
Have you seen him perform?
Yeah.
Yeah, I never have. So I'm just assuming maybe that the
It's,
performance is what brings that
Limey
part of it
rock,
across.
you know, loud, rip off the American audience. You know.
A lot of the American audience likes loud, screaming, yelling.
Oh, the 13-year-olds do. Sure.
Razzle-dazzle, yeah.
Yeah, that's true. I remember
Right.
Led Zeppelin
There's a lot of-
played about 3 weeks ago, and the average age was probably 14.
Yeah, we're also in our country now. We're into like segregation between the ages. Like people who are 13, 14, 15 don't go to things that people who are 18, 19, up to 25 go to, and vice versa. It's not only segregation between black and white, but we have segregation now between little age groups. You know, over 30, it's, you know, I don't know what they're doing. You know, they're programming libraries somewhere, you know. No, they're trying to make a thing out of it, I guess, with whatever they're doing.
You mean the record companies are trying to appeal to a certain age group?
Down to about 8. Yeah, they would
But, I
like
mean, they're
everybody to
divide-
play.
They are dividing the
Yeah, they
the
divide it.
people.
Yeah, the buying public is 13, 14 monkeys, the monkeys. Yeah.
In other words, the 13 and 14-year-olds are going out.
Doesn't
to
give you a
see,
lot to work with, you know.
Well,
So what's
when
your
you
audience? Is your
first
audience
recorded,
18
that was the
and
folk
19?
scene, right?
Yeah.
So was that where some of your audience was buying that because of the folk?
Yeah, and the folk thing in the early
The whole
60s,
right.
we'll talk from there, was much more susceptible to jazz because basically it came out of New York City. So they were used to black people. And so hence, like when the blues thing started coming into folk music, it immediately moved into folk rock. It was healthy, moved. You know, Bobby Dylan, Jesse Colin Young, everybody played it. And then through the 60s, I remember being on the bill at the Fillmore in Frisco with Charles Lloyd, Jefferson Airplane, myself, and Cecil Taylor on the same bill, maybe Clara Ward. I mean, a great show, right?
Where'd you play? With us?
The Fillmore.
At the Fillmore.
Yeah, and the same thing like in New York. You know, he could put together great shows, not charge a lot, and make everybody would make money. You know. But now, it's like Well, it's basically who's packaged better, you know. That's what I meant by hermetically sealed and
Right.
here one time only, you know. That's a
Right.
drag. There's not a constant flow of good music through America like it was in the
Yeah,
60s.
I've read
It'll probably
about-
pick up in the end of the 70s, you know, where
Yeah.
something new will...
There aren't enough places to play that are good, or
There's too much. The society is moving towards. Well, TV dinners started it, and canned martinis, and canned daiquiris, and all that stay-at-home stuff. You know, watch TV. You know, and you're really dying when you only have 3 channels and you have game shows and news during the day. I mean, where does it go? You know, so the only TV that's really happening is New York and L.A., where they have extended talk shows, community affairs programs, good movies. Plus the
Sure.
game shows.
Yeah, full cable is what
And
it amounts
cable.
to. Yeah,
Aside from
they're
the
talking
public.
about that here, but of course,
Got
I think
to.
that would be good, though, if everybody sat and watched more TV.
No, I'm saying that the quality, you know, you're ruled basically by the media.
Right.
I mean, before the telephone, you were shooting. Had a lot of gunfights, you know, and you would come to see a hanging. That was the
Big
basic
excitement.
motivation out here. Now that you have radios and telephones and things like that, you've cooled out much, you know, except for Friday and Saturday. You know, if the media was better as far as the level of appreciation would come up, you know. It helps. It just goes hand in hand. The more a private performer can put into a society, more he can put into he can incorporate more different styles into an act rather than just programming it for 13-year-old people. Not that I'm against 13-year-old people, they're fine. I don't think they should be talked to until they're 25, though.
I better leave.
Where do you call home after you finish this tour?
Trailer in Hermosa Beach. Good six-pack and ball game.
And watch TV, right?
No. You know, you don't know what TV is until you've been to L.A. It's different, much different.
So you grew up there.
Yeah, I know LA. But
It's
I
different.
choose to live in New Mexico. It's a little slower pace. People have a chance to be friendly.
Yeah, that's true.
So
Have you
it's
played
kinda
here
like
before?
old Mexico.
No, never.
Have you been out to Placitas yet?
Yeah, we went out to set up.
You like that? It's a nice place with crazy people, of course.
Yeah.
Nice people, right?
Yeah.
Now that was an old funky bar that for years was just going broke, and they occasionally would have a memorable evening when everybody would go out, and just timing and more people and advertising, and the people that have it now have just
They're good people.
Yeah, they're good people. They've given it a shot in the arm, and it's just doing great.
Mm-hmm.
It's not doing all that great. They're taking a big chance by, you know, trying to bring in people, name groups, or whatever you want to call them. I mean, every time
It's hard to get the people out of their Hogan's here, I guess.
Right, you know, it's
People
it's
will
28
have a-
miles away or whatever it is.
Have
I
a
don't know.
fiesta and
20.
live it up.
It's not.
always.
It's not in the heart of town. So.
Yeah. Right.
You think people would rather go out there where it's cool?
Well, I don't know. See, I don't. I haven't studied the retreating hippie to the wilderness. You know, I'm not.
Lots of hippies out there.
Well, you know what I mean. That whole
Yeah.
thing that happened
see,
in
a
the
lot of
'60s
those-
of retreat from the cities into
Right, from New
the
York.
rocks.
I'm a
Back in-
farmer.
Yeah, right. Back to the farm.
That's what I said.
It, on one hand, it sort of scares me, you know, because it's a total withdrawal from sewers and subways and things like that. I don't understand that. You know what I mean?
Well, in those sewers and subways and the high-rise apartment, there's the high risk of crime. Everything's going up, and so a lot of people are splitting the city. Paranoid.
Yeah. What's missing there is the American spirit to stand there and fight for it.
Right.
You know.
Little macho. We have a lot of that in New Mexico.
Yeah. Well, it's easier to get away with.
Machismo.
It's yeah, but it's easier to get away with that here than it is in a city.
Yeah.
I really don't know that much about the retreating hippie.
Well,
Do you think that maybe people are going to start going back? I mean, you said that maybe there
Go
would be
back to
sort
the
of-
city?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the inner city is probably the new frontier in another 10 years because there's, from what we've seen, from what I've seen in the last 2 years, on all cities, the inner city is pretty much bare. Nothing. A lot of empty space. And all the people are moving out to the suburbs, you know, and to the plazas, you know, the malls and stuff
Right.
like that, you know, that kind of living. And it's a lot more attractive, you know.
And you said that sort of reflects the bogged down of musical.
Yeah, because you're dealing now, you're
Things
back
too.
to the thing of the old days where media doesn't mean that much. You know, you being in the city after 6 o'clock playing a concert, it makes a great demand on somebody just to come in to see it. You know what I mean? It doesn't even matter. Like Isaac Hayes is playing Kansas City this week, and he's only playing a 3,500 seat auditorium because nobody goes there. I mean, he usually fills 10,000 easily. You know, but so it's hard now for like promoters and people in music to know where the most, you know, sections of people are.
You think that radio stations like KUNM have affected that too? That the fact that we're bringing people
throughout the country,
50
I don't
minutes
know
of
what your
music
format
in an
is. I don't know what your format is up front, but throughout the country, FM is basically B team AM.
Yeah. Oh, definitely.
You know, and most of the
getting
FMs
worse.
are going AM.
Right. It's getting worse.
And so any chance of change has to happen within 2.5 minutes of music. And it's pretty much middle of the road stuff happening now.
Do you feel that some of the music is kind of dead also? I mean, that seems to go
Yeah,
along
because
with
there's
your
too
whole
many.
attitude.
There's a lot of restrictions. I mean, just to get recorded now, and it will get worse.
Besides the expense, what are the restrictions?
The expense and the taste of the people, and what your radio stations are going to play.
What does the taste of the people mean? I don't understand that.
Well, I mean, it's
People
very.
listen to it.
Oh, I see.
Well, let's take an example. 1966, the hit tune of the whole year was Ballad of the Green Beret. And at that period of time, there was a lot of music happening,
Yeah. Sure.
you know.
The Beatles were.
So no matter what underground movement is happening, basically the Beatles were an underground movement compared to
John Wayne and the Green
John Wayne and the Green Beret.
Right.
So no matter how big you think you are, there's tons more than you that are buying Andy Williams.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
So then when you start talking about media, the people who own TV stations usually have a lot of money into radio stations. You know, not to mention the mafia. You know, and they go with whatever is going to make the quick dollar. You know.
So there aren't any real good progressive stations in LA anymore, then, is what it sounds like.
Anywhere.
With all-
I'm talking about the country.
Really?
Yeah. There are only 13 classical stations in the whole United States.
Yeah, we've got one of them.
Yeah. Yeah. So what I'm talking about when I talk about TV, right? You're talking about media. I'm talking about all media. You know, forget theater. There's no theater through the Midwest unless it's in the round and it's Burt Reynolds doing.
You seen the Santa Fe Opera?
Yeah, it's good. That's good. But that's, you know, one a little bit here, a little bit there. You know, when you don't have theater in town, you don't have a culture of the people in the community coming out.
Yeah.
You don't have a culture.
So you think maybe people are going to get burned out on the
No, I
the
think
bad media that they're being handed in the suburbs?
I think by the end of the 70s, if we ever get an administration that isn't so restrictive, basically Nixon's thing is very repressive. You know, it's been stated by Sam Irwin, the most repressive president ever, and that's a huge statement.
Yeah.
You know, when that is finally over, either at the end of the 4 years, you know, or if he is impeached, which is, you know, the odds for that is pretty ridiculous. It may open up to where people are not afraid to be in groups again. You know, basically, we're in a withdrawal society, watching the news.
Everyone's paranoid. Is that what you're saying?
No, it's waiting to see how far it goes. It's not paranoia. It's just see how clean it's really going to get. That's the basic. I think that's the basic motive for all the laid backness, as it were, you know, or non-committal to any art or theater or, you know, anything, is to watch how far this thing is going to go. The Watergate thing. It's going to take a long time.
Yeah.
To withdraw from it, you know, to recover and then state a whole new way of living. It's basically, we're really on the line. You know, and we take it in stride, as it, you know, because we're so far away from it. You know, it really doesn't matter to anybody in Albuquerque what happened in a hotel in Watergate, but the whole system matters.
Right. Yeah. I've often thought, gee, how ridiculous. A couple of guys walked into an office and look
Yeah.
what's going
Well,
on
what's
now.
changing is, does politics
This is the
move
point.
from making business bigger, or does it move to making people more healthy and better places to live in? You know, does it? We're on that line, the best line we've ever had.
And everybody's on it.
Yeah. Because especially to the south there, and here, political moguls were in interest of oil companies, of contractors for housing, war, and basically an interest of business to build up towns and things like that. Not really any interest for people. You know, usually build up a town, people will come and live there, right?
So business is going to have to be the thing to expedite the move back into the cities. Then?
And also the arts. When somebody like Firestone brings in things to L.A. from Russia, Van Goghs and Gauguins that have never been seen before, and show them in a museum, that's something that's never happened from a businessman other than Carnegie and the great rich men of our time,
yeah,
that were concerned in the finer things and not just making money. There's a limit to making money. You know, it has to go back in to something.
Well, maybe when we run out of gasoline, that'll bring it all back.
We
together
haven't even
a
hit,
bit.
you know, we haven't even hit that realization. American people haven't come off of Bacos seasoning, and, you know, wait till we hit the food crisis, which is next year.
Yeah, that's true.
We were planning on driving back from Albuquerque to L.A., and I don't want to take the chance because I don't think there's any gas stations. You know?
Walk.
Sorry, man.
I know where you can get a good covered wagon for about $2,500 bucks.
Well, how does this whole idea compare to your music?
Well, anytime a society is in any sort of trouble, and also an entire industry such as music, which is in trouble, the person who is an innovator usually suffers from that because there's not an overflow, there's not a backwash of interest. You know, so it's harder to come out as an innovator and make a living. You know, so basically, you have to take what I'm now doing is rerouting through the country, almost like a political movement. You know.
Are you still writing? I mean, it sounds
Yeah.
as though things have come to a standstill, but they haven't for you.
No, I'm saying the world has.
Yeah. And you're writing, and you're writing things that you think are different from this Greetings from L.A. album, or
Yeah. Yeah.
What kinds of thing are you going to do? Some of them on Placitas?
Yeah. Yeah. Not you know, nothing's economic or political. You know. Basically, what's happening with people who are starting to live now in their 20s and 30s is the one-to-one communication between man and woman and their children, right? And the futility of the loose type of thing of having 3 women or and 14 kids in a house, you know, it doesn't work. You know, for a period of time it does.
Holly Weird at its best.
Well, hey, it was, you know, communal out here in the teepees.
Yeah.
You know, it's everywhere.
Right.
So getting down to the thing of one-to-one, it's basically all I've ever talked about. And it's what I'm talking about now, and it's getting to where it's more hard to anchor in on, because it's very touchy, because nobody wants to be with one person and have that person represent them and also them. Usually,
because you're entrusting yourself.
Sure. Usually men treat women as head ornaments on Cadillacs. You know, look what I got. That type of thing.
Ain't she nice?
Yeah. Once it gets beyond that and you start getting into commitment, then you're talking about more of a universal thought, more of a personal thought, and more of a frightening thought, because then you're cutting right to the bone of what life is. It's not war in Vietnam, it's not political, it's not, you know, anything. It's like what you have to deal with every day. You know, basically the news is a show. You know, I don't think anybody really worries about it.
Yeah, well, if they really did, then it probably wouldn't be
Wouldn't
the news
exist.
that it is.
Right.
Even after this commitment, a lot of couples with children are choosing to live with other couples in communal living and all sharing the responsibility.
Yeah.
Where the children have multi-parents, they still know their parents. There's no such thing as an orphan.
Yeah. Except in L.A. There's a lot of left kids,
Right.
you know.
So your music's going to be more personal if you can bring that
If I can get
off.
my way in the industry, it will, yeah.
What kind of other, do you have producers or people like that are telling you that, no, this isn't, it won't sell, so you can't do it? You
Oh, well,
having
there's
that kind
always
of a
been that.
problem?
There's that with everybody. I mean, there's hardly anything, there's hardly a word that you say on record that isn't mulled over by a committee meeting anymore. It's great. It's like Putney Swope. Did you ever see the movie?
Yeah.
It's just about like that. You know.
Hmm.
And it's worse when it gets down to, like, you know, where it is now. It used to be they give a lot of money to a new group and they just put them in a studio for months, right?
Right.
And they come out with chicken fat, you know, and they write it off. You know, now it's like, you know, either you have singles to put out to your stations that will appeal to you to play them, you know.
There's just less money being thrown around in general. So they're
Oh,
trying
of
to-
course, then there's the our own little Watergate with Clive,
Yeah.
you know.
I wish it would have hit here. I could have used some of that.
Yeah. Well, yeah. That's, a lot's going to happen with that because they're all subpoenaed.
You mean you can't do what you'd like to do in your records?
Oh, I do to a certain degree. Sure.
But that's more because you've been in the business for a while rather than
Yeah.
they're letting you do it.
Yeah.
I mean, if somebody new or something, they'd probably
Oh,
have
heaven
their
forbid.
nose picked by the producer.
Oh,
or
if I
something.
came up now, later, if I was just starting now, it would be, you know,
Really frustrating.
I wouldn't be recorded. I really don't think I would be.
What does it take to you're writing songs and you want to get yourself recorded?
Well, I think I did it right when I did it 8-9 years ago. I didn't worry about percentage, you know, or the amount of money I was going to get. I was just into it to put it down on wax. Because when you're an adolescent, you think you're going to die any minute, you know? And, but that worked out better, you know, because I started seeing, as soon as I signed, I started seeing people quibble over percentages on money, you know. And really, it's better to have the publishing company committed to putting out your material and giving you money to live than to worry about the big splash if you're going to write music.
Right.
So therefore, you have them in an opposite corner.
Well, if your music comes first, then
Right.
it'll sell itself.
Right.
So
Then they have to work for it harder.
You're very purist about your music then. It's good.
No, it was just a better business move than to quibble about percentages and then just get lost in the stockpile. So now, like, one product will last a year and a half, which is a ridiculous road. It's a ridiculous running for any piece of music today.
Piece of music meaning an
An album or, yeah, well, basically an album.
So you're about due for one in 6 months or so.
No, September.
September, 3
Yeah.
months.
Yeah, and it's finished. It's pretty much finished.
No kidding.
Yeah. We recorded it, and it'll, you know, the right time to put it out when everybody's back in school and got
That's
all the
their money
daddy's
from
bucks.
Daddies, yeah, right. Exactly. Yeah. Spring, Christmas, fall.
And they're back in the major parts of the
You
cities.
die every summer. Nothing coming in.
Yeah. It was, yeah, that was one thing about, you know, the early Beach Boys made the summer make it. You know? They sold a lot during the summer.
They still sell records.
Oh, they're good. They're good.
They're still writing good songs.
Yeah.
And the last album, Holland, was just really fine.
Yeah.
They're good.
Do you know how much they spent on that?
2 hours, what?
No, about $3 million?
It wasn't quite $1 million, I think.
It was about $1 million on one album.
Why?
Well, they
Why-
bought
why
the
did-
studio,
What did it take? Oh,
Oh.
they had bought the studio.
and their sign was
That's
right
half
to
a
be in
million.
Holland, of course. You know, their sign. And they had to buy the right studio, of course. And they spent, 14 days on one thing. You know.
It's a little booklet that came, I think, with the album. And it explained all the expenses. They flew their whole studio to Holland, and they all bought homes. Mercedes.
The wiring wasn't right, so they...
You seem quite critical of that.
They must have a
kind of
good-
Oh, when
thing.
you got it,
Right.
flaunt it.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
You know, go to Hawaii. What the
It
heck?
sounds like fun.
Sure, what the
Well,
heck?
let's buy this one.
It's just, I mean, all that money for an album, you could be in Tahiti, drinking with Brando,
They've
right?
been at
Sure,
the,
Rolling
you know,
Stones
why?
recorded in Jamaica.
A
didn't
song's a song, a town's a town. Why spend millions on it, you know?
It still sang about California, though, which was strange.
That's
Sitting
right.
in Holland.
There's a song. Many. Ceylon Sailor.
Have we bored the university enough to get off?
Oh, I don't think so. Not quite. Next time we'll
Intellectual
have the whole state
machos
go.
out there.
We'll have our antenna up on a mountain. We'll have the whole state. This time we only got the city. Anyway, everybody should go and see for themselves. Thursday through Sunday nights on Placitas.
Be prepared to dance.
Good.
Oh, everybody's
It's
prepared to
starting tonight.
dance.
Kick
in
off your
this-
ski
in
boots.
In this state. That's,
It's a good floor.
yeah, people boogie around here. People even boogie at their
What is
in their
boogie?
homes. Boogie?
Yeah.
Dance and have a good time.
Dance
Go to
and
bed
have a good
holler.
time. And it's a general word for moving your feet and taking whatever seems to be handy and putting it into your mouth.
Yeah. Heavens.
And on that note, we'll end the interview.
And on that number, we'll thank Tim Buckley and Buddy and Richard and
Woo.
wife of Tim Buckley and
Whoa.
Woo.
Woo. Woo. Whoa.
Whoa.
And we'll go back up to Bruce, I guess.
Take it away, bros. Juicy Brucey.